Game of Thrones told us that winter was coming, and it is finally here. As a Tesla owner for almost 6 years now, I've lived in an area where we constantly get sub-freezing temperatures in the wintertime. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you the whole truth about driving and owning a Tesla in the wintertime. And I'm gonna give some tips for Tesla owners if you live in a climate where it gets cold in the winter. It may surprise you to know that I've never had an issue whatsoever in my Tesla in the wintertime. But here's the honest truth. You're absolutely going to lose some range in the wintertime in an electric vehicle. You're not gonna get the same estimated range as what you see, as what they showcase when you first buy the car, especially if you're going at highway speeds. So if you're driving on the interstate during the wintertime, the lower the temperature plus the higher speed you go, that combination is deadly to your range. But guess what? Gas cars lose range too. It's not just EVs that suffer from range loss. And you don't really see that though in a gas car, because you can pretty much fill up at any gas station on every block, and gas cars have a much larger fuel tank. But it's not as bad as you may think. It's not as bad as the media may point it out to be, because what happened recently when the news covered a bunch of Teslas waiting in line to charge and batteries dying, that happened mostly in a concentrated area of Chicago. Unfortunately, that area of superchargers were having a bunch of issues. And then also it's a big metro city during the holiday season. And that was kind of like the perfect storm for all that to happen. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, which is considerably decent sized city. And I just pulled up to one of our 3 supercharger locations here in the city, and this one has 3 stalls available out of the 8 stalls. If we look at the other closest superchargers here in Louisville, I can see that we have 4 stalls available out of 8 stalls at the other supercharger. And the 3rd supercharger location, we have 10 stalls available out of 12 stalls. So this is on a random Saturday at noon, which is a pretty high frequent charge time, I would feel like. And there's available stalls. I've never pulled up to a supercharger station here around my area and seen it full at all, ever. And that brings me to my most important tip for owning a Tesla or EV in the winter, and honestly, just owning an electric vehicle in general. If you don't have access to home charging or work charging, it's probably not worth it to buy one. A lot of EV owners and Tesla owners will disagree with me, but I think that is one of, if not the biggest benefits of owning an electric vehicle, is being able to charge at home. Personally, I charge about 95% of my charging is done at home in my garage overnight while I'm sleeping. Not only is that more convenient, but it's actually the most cost beneficial. So it's the cheapest option to do that. Home charging will almost always be much cheaper than supercharging locations. Supercharging is really only designed for charging on road trips. It's built for convenience, not for cost. So if you're looking for the biggest cost savings, which is why I bought an electric vehicle, to be honest, then it makes sense to just charge at home. I know there's a lot of people that don't have access to home charging if they live in an apartment, or what I tell people in that situation is see if you can charge at work. Sometimes you can ask your employer, hey, if I pay for a cost of an outlet to be installed, maybe I can just charge at work. And most of the time, if you just get a normal outlet installed, you can charge for 8 hours out of the day at work, and that will be enough for most people. Also do the same thing at your apartment complex. Ask your landlord. It never hurts to ask, because you're missing out on the best benefit of owning a Tesla, in my opinion. So that's just my rant about that. Today's video is sponsored by Delete Me, which is a trusted personal data removal tool that I've been using since last year. And we're all cautious about privacy when browsing the web, but we don't really think about how much information our vehicles collect and who has access to that data. As much as I love the cameras and technology and the cellular internet connection in my Tesla, it does come at a cost of privacy and trusting that that data is properly safeguarded. And to maintain our privacy, we must make sure our personal data does not fall into the hands of the data brokers who work 24/7 to buy and sell it. Delete Me makes it quick, easy, and safe to remove your personal data online by removing private information from hundreds of data brokers. It's a simple 4-step process. After signing up, just submit your personal information for removal from search engines and data broker sites. Then the Delete Me experts find and remove your personal information. And then after 7 days, you receive a detailed report. And Delete Me continues to remove your personal information on a regular basis. With over 100 million personal listings removed, Delete Me is the best privacy solution I've used, and I've been extremely happy with the results so far. Click the link below or visit joindeleteme.com/Andy and use coupon code ANDY to get 20% off USA consumer plans and start protecting your privacy today. So I did mention that EVs lose range in the wintertime, but how much range do we lose? Well, here's a tip for you Tesla drivers. If you go into your trips section in your car, you have a couple different trips that you can set. As each season starts, I will go in here and tap on it. I will name it the season and reset that trip. That will allow me to track my energy to compare each season. And you can see that my lifetime average energy usage is 252 watt hours per mile. And my current winter average energy usage is 294 watt hours per mile. That is about 40 watt hours per mile more in the wintertime than my average yearly usage, which is not bad. I know that some Tesla owners average over probably close to 300 watt hours per mile just normal driving. And you know what, to be honest, I drive pretty fast. That is good news. Like, here's the proof. It's not that much more energy inefficient in the wintertime. And that's during this past 6 weeks where it's been super cold. Here are some tips to help with range loss in the wintertime. First, make sure that your tires are properly inflated. So if you go into your service menu here in your Tesla, it recommends the tire pressure. Right now you can see mine are all pretty close to 44 PSI. So I like to keep it as close as possible to the recommended 44 in the wintertime. And it's going to be a little harder because you'll notice if you have been driving a Tesla, once the temperatures start to drop in the wintertime, your tire pressure drops pretty quickly. And you'll probably see an alert on your screen saying tire pressure below recommended pressure. So what I like to do is keep this $30 portable air compressor in my car, and I can just pump my tires up wherever I am. One energy tip that will help out a lot is to disable Sentry mode, because that will definitely use up a lot of battery. So turn that off in the safety section. And I also like to just exclude homework and favorites right there in the settings. And probably the biggest winter tip to save your range is to drive the speed limit if you can tolerate it. I'm really bad about this. I always drive about 10 miles over the speed limit no matter where I am, but I would definitely be able to save way more energy if I actually just drove the speed limit. Another big winter tip to save energy is to utilize seat heaters as much as possible instead of using heated air coming out of your vents. I'll bundle up, put a jacket on, put a warm pants on, have some nice warm socks on, and just use my seat heater on the lowest setting. And that keeps me pretty comfortable. I could do that on my 45-minute commute to work and be just fine. So if you are a responsible EV owner and you're charging at home and you have a normal daily drive like I do, it's highly recommended to set a scheduled departure and schedule that preheating of the battery, because that will also help you with the range in the wintertime. So once you're at home or wherever you charge at home, go to schedule, set it to precondition your battery. And what that'll do is that'll precondition your battery so it'll heat up while it's charging. You will be able to wake up in the morning and leave with the battery already preconditioned, so you'll have access to that full regenerative braking. So when you have full access to regenerative braking, you're going to get better range during your drive. And to be honest, at the end of the day, this Tesla, my Model 3, has been the best car I've ever owned in the wintertime. Here's why. First of all, I'm in the safest car ever made. So if it snows and I'm out and about, I feel perfectly fine if I ever happen to get in an accident or anything like that, because it's not just me that has to drive safely. I have to worry about all the other people driving safely in the snow and stuff like that. I don't worry about it. Plus, Teslas have really good traction control compared to most other cars. So that's another thing that eases my mind. And of course, the benefits that come with being able to warm my car up and preheat it and melt the snow and ice from my phone, just from the app. That's amazing. And of course, the scheduled preheating in my garage. I wake up to a nice warm car that's already preheated in my cabin. And probably the best thing is I never have to get out and pump gas in the cold, bitter winds. I just charge at home. Again, it all comes back to that. So don't let the media and news try to fear monger you. Owning a Tesla has been fantastic for me personally in the wintertime.